So this is a Giant Liv Avail. I believe this is Advanced 1. This is from 2019 or 2020. So I bought this bike as an upgrade for my wife to replace her old Avail, which was a probably around 10 years old now. I think her old model was 2013. That one had a rim brake, and I did a few upgrades on her old bike. But when I saw this for sale locally for a really good price, I just cannot resist. I told my wife, hey, let me grab this bike, and if you like the new bike, you know, we'll just sell your old bike and you can have this new bike. And if you don't like it, I may just restore this bike because this bike had a few areas that probably were damaged from the previous owner crashing the bike on the right side. So I'm just going to give you guys a overview of the bike before I do any kind of restoration work or upgrades. As you can see here, the bike features a full Ultegra group set. The only thing that's not Ultegra that they try to save cost on is a very low-end Shimano crankset. This is a double 50/34. Oh, there's my little helper. So yeah, so that's the only thing that they cheaped out, but everything else is Ultegra, including the brakes, the lever, shifters, derailleurs, and the brake calipers. And even the cassette is Ultegra. Okay, so it's not a low-end bike by any means, and I actually got this for a really good price. Again, low $1,000 range, only because of the damage that's suffered. So I'm gonna tell you right off the bat, those damages, eventually I got the new hood, so I'm gonna replace the hood, and I got new cover. I'm gonna replace the cover. The shifter is still shifting perfectly fine, so I'm gonna keep it as is. The only downside is I'm gonna have this area that doesn't look as good over here. Unless I want to upgrade, I can, you know, buy a brand new shifter set and then just upgrade the whole shifter as well. This is an 11-speed Ultegra, so mechanical shifting, hydraulic disc brake, and I think this is a good combination because the 11-speed, it's more than enough for Florida riding, and this is got a 1134 cassette, so very wide range cassette. Okay, my road bike had a, I think, 1128 and a compact crank, and I never had any need, even when I lived in New Jersey in the mountain areas, needs anything higher gear than that. Granted, we're not doing any gravel work, so it's just on the pavement, so this gearing in Miami is more than enough. This bike had this beautiful dual tone color, chameleon color. I don't know how they call this one in the year model, but it's a beautiful, lovely looking color. Okay, I always wanted a transitional coloring tone for my own bike, but it looks like my wife got one, if she decides to keep it. But it looks beautiful. All internal cabling. It's gonna make maintenance a little bit harder, but it does make the bike look much more cleaner. Okay, internal routing even for the fork, so it comes out from the little side over there, goes in to the front right here. The saddle upgraded. The only thing is a longer saddle, a longer stem, so I think this is 120, so gives her a little more reach and a little bit lower down, slightly more aggressive stance. But as you can see, the stack height is pretty high, so this is definitely an endurance bike setup. The seat was high, but you can get the seat a little bit lower, and it's gonna accommodate quite a large rider's height requirements. So this one is a size small, and I think it's rated for 5'4" all the way to 5'6". So you have quite a lot of playroom if you want to get this bike, and it's within your height. You can get the, you know, all kinds of adjustments necessary. This is a low job saddle for specifically designed for women, and it's aluminum, unfortunately. So aluminum bar, aluminum job bar, aluminum stem, and carbon seat post. This is a diffuse seat post that they use to reduce the vibration, and they also call this diffuse drop bar. So they might have building some flex into those bars for long-term riding comfort, but there you have it. This is pretty much all stock except the stem. The tires, oh wow, those are Giant's original tires. Those are the Giant Fondo 1. This is a 32 millimeter tire on the Giant PR2 disc wheels. Now right off the bat, I'm going to tell you guys the PR2 disc wheels are very, very heavy. They build like a tank, but they're very heavy. So if you're thinking about upgrading any kind of Giant bikes, right off the bat, you see the PR2 wheel set, you will want to upgrade those wheels. So the last, I had a Giant TCX with the exact same wheel set. Last one I had, I think that wheel set weighted, I think over 2,000 grams, so quite heavy. And I believe this one is gonna be pretty weighty as well. So the good news is I already have a nice set of super lightweight gravel bike wheel set that I bought for the TCX. I stole the TCX, but I kept the wheel set. I'm gonna put those on my wife's bike and make this bike a lot more lively compared to those old wheel sets. So yes, wheel sets does make a huge difference in terms of weight savings and handling. So I think that would be the first area you're looking to upgrade if you get a road bike, kind of low-end road bike, and you're thinking about upgrading. Do the wheel set first and then think about the group sets and everything else, okay? Because that had a significant difference in terms of ride quality and the weight of the bike. All right, so that's pretty much it. This is just gonna be a first part of the video that I'm gonna show you guys what this bike looks like when I first get it. All right, guys, so here is the fully upgraded Giant Liv Avail that I bought for my wife, used. The lady sold it to me, and if you remember at the beginning of the video review, she did crash the bike on the right side. So the crash marks are still here. I got a brand new hood over here, but it hasn't arrived, so I'm not gonna replace the hood for now. It still works perfectly fine. It's scratched up here and it's kind of cracked a little bit over here. Again, it does not affect the actual braking performance or the shifting performance. It's also scratched on the lever. It's fine, perfectly fine. There's no issue with shifting. So it's mostly cosmetic, at least for the shifters, okay? What was not cosmetic was, if you remember, the rear derailleur was scratched up really bad. That was the RX 800 Ultegra rear derailleur that she had, or stock, on this bike. I replaced it with a brand new GRX 810, which is a tiny bit small upgrade from the RX 800. It supports a few extra tooth on the rear cassette, I think. But quite interestingly, I do not need more tooth support because I live in Miami. It's mostly zero gradient, so there's no climbing. I want a cassette that's a little bit closer geared and smaller, largest cog on the rear. So what you see here is already a fully upgraded Elite Wheels G45 full carbon gravel / road wheel set. Okay, so this one, it's got a little aerial 45 millimeter width of the blade. Again, for Miami riding, it's perfect. It's flat and it's more aerodynamic. And this wheel set is not cheap. I bought it for $1,000, and it's a Chinese-made wheel set. I had it shipped from China directly to me. Originally, I was using it for the Giant TCX that I had before, but I sold the TCX and I kept the wheel set, and which turned out to be perfect because this bike, the Avail Liv, comes with a PR2 wheel set, which is Giant's entry-level wheel set they put on pretty much every bike they had. It's not my favorite wheel set. It's kind of heavy, and it may be bomb-proof, but it's just heavy. It doesn't roll as good. So immediately I took that off. I put on my reserved wheel set that I got for myself. So now my wife have the best wheel set in the house, right? And this one comes with 160 millimeter rear and front disc brake rotors. I believe those are XT rotors. very good performance, ice technology. Again, overkill for Miami, but it does look nice, and it's kind of slightly lighter because for the most part it's aluminum alloy combined with a steel braking surface on the outer edge. What I also changed is the crankset. The crankset, I took it off my wife's old Avail. The old Avail still runs 11 speed, so I took it off, just directly put it over here. I bought this for her probably last year, so it's still in pretty good condition. There's visually no wear. So consider this bike had a brand new, pretty much drivetrain group set. This one, very low miles. This is pretty much brand new on the rear because this is a Ultegra 11 to 32. And this is brand new GRX 810. Okay, so this is a shadow derailleur with a lockout function for gravel riding, but for the road, again, you have that option. Looks pretty nice and only slightly, like 2 or 3 grams heavier than the RX 800 over here. And I didn't change the derailleur, the front derailleur. I didn't change the shifter cable, although I think next time for a periodic maintenance, I might have the shifter cable changed. But for now, it works perfectly fine with the old shifter cable. Anything else that I did? Yeah, I switched out the little bell from the old bike to the new bike. I switched out the light, old bike to the new bike, and my wife's favorite saddle. Again, it's not the prettiest saddle out there. This is a Surface RX. She had this for years, and apparently to her this is the most comfortable saddle for her. So again, you gotta listen to your wife, right? So I switched it from the old bike to the new bike, and I did do a comparison test ride between the old one and the new one, with brand new hydraulic shifting system, whatever. Quite surprisingly, let me tell you, the ride characteristics and the performance of both bikes are actually extremely similar. Like, to me, I couldn't tell a difference between the 2013 year model and the 2020 year model in terms of comfort, in terms of road bump absorption. This one had better bump absorption, particularly because it's running a larger tire. Okay, the old one had a 25. This one originally came with a 32. It's like, it's like riding on a Cadillac. But I did switch it out for the Schwab one, and this is a road tire on my carbon wheel, so I didn't switch it out to the Giant one, but it rolls fast. It's 28 millimeter, and again, very comparable. Like, the performance wise, the old Avail and the new Avail, there's no significant difference. Even with disc brakes, it doesn't brake any better. However, it does offer more modulation, and it offers an easier braking because my wife doesn't have to apply too much pressure for the brake to start engaging. On the old bike, the Avail with Ultegra, it does require a little more efforts, as she had to squeeze a little bit harder for it to start braking, and there are no modulation. Once the brake contacts the wheelset, the bike pretty much starts to stop immediately. So the braking performance of those Ultegra rim brakes are actually fantastic. Okay, so don't upgrade your bike only because you think disc brakes is gonna brake better. No, they brake exactly the same. It brakes a little bit easier, okay, on the flat surface at least, but they don't brake any better. They would work a lot better if you ride in the rain. If you commute, you have to ride in the rain, yes, get hydraulic disc brake, because they do stop in the rain much better than the rim brake when they get wet. That is pretty much the only difference that I can tell. Okay, riding performance, both bikes can go really fast, and again, the gearing of the 50-34 on the front is exactly the same. On the back, the old one had a 11-28 cassette, so it's a lot more smoother even when shifting and trying to find the perfect cadence. This one had a 11-32. Again, for Miami, you don't rarely go 3-4 gears up. No difference at all. I personally think the new bike looks better. Obviously, it's just more modern looking. So yeah, I think it looks more beautiful with this purple paint. It's lovely. However, my wife said she still loves the old paint scheme because she had a sentimental value, because her very first bike that she wanted was a Giant with similar paint scheme. So there are sentimental values to the old Avail that she had, which to her, she thinks the old bike looks better. Okay, so that's the interesting thing from upgrading this bike for my wife. Surprisingly, performance-wise, no, you don't need the new bike to enjoy road riding. The old bike is already still incredible. The Avail with the Ultegra wheelset that I upgraded for her, without any pedals, weighs 17.4 grams, 17.4 pounds, and that's incredibly light for an Avail. Okay, and this is an endurance bike, and it's even able to take much thicker rear tires if you want. You can go 32 if you want. Okay, so there are a lot of rooms for 32 on the old Avail, and so that was not an issue. And if you do live in a very hilly area, now I think yes, disc brakes might be a better option for, you know, braking when you go downhill, and if you have to brake quite a lot, that is going to be the only advantage that I see. And with that advantage actually also comes with disadvantage. That is to service those new bikes with internal cable routing and hydraulic disc brake bleeding. It's a pain in the butt. So in terms of maintenance, the old bike takes literally no time to set up and get going and putting new components. Super easy to service. And group sets are still widely available for the 11 speeds, so you can easily replace anything that's broken. And with the new one, yes, there are new compatibility issues with the old, if you want to go electronic shifting, compatibility issues, installation issues, and also you have to make sure that the bike is compatible with whatever new stuff they're going to put on there. So to me personally, the advantage, a small advantage of a hydraulic disc brake setup of the new Avail compared to the old Giant Avail is quite tiny for Miami, at least for anybody that lives in a flat area, or you don't encounter any rain, riding in the rain. There really isn't any advantage to upgrade. This bike stock with an aluminum Ultegra wheelset, 17.4 pounds. This one stock, okay, stock without any upgrades with the Ultegra group set. I weighed it and it's close to 20 pounds. So immediately, for that little advantage of the hydraulic disc brake, internal cabling and everything, you gain a lot more weight and a lot more complex when it comes to maintenance. Now, with the carbon wheelset upgrade, and even with this super heavy seat and platform pedals, this bike now weighs 17.4 grams. So it's exact same weight with heavier saddle and platform as this bike without pedal and a fairly lightweight saddle. So yes, you could get this new frame lighter if you want, but remember, those wheel sets cost me $1,000. Okay, that's pretty much the cost of this bike. Like, I literally bought this bike for $1,000 and I'm putting a $1,000 wheel set. Is it worth it? Maybe. But I love my wife. I want her to have the best possible. Her bike now is definitely better configured than my 2008 Specialized Roubaix S-Works. Okay, I still love my rim brake bike, but if I do find something with a small upgrade, I personally myself might consider a upgrade just to keep up with the standards, all the trends, whatever. But to enjoy riding, no, you do not need the newest. Oh yeah, did I also mention I got a little cap over here to replace the original cap that I showed you at the very beginning of the video. So that is done. It's replaced, and it's gonna look a lot better when all the new components is gonna arrive. This bike is gonna look fantastic. And of course, with a 17.4 pound weight, it handles as good as the old bike, and it also looks better, right? All right guys, so taking our wife's bike out for a test ride so I can give you guys an impression on what I think about the upgraded Giant Liv Avail that I found and kind of upgraded also on the original components for my wife. Okay, so obviously this is not my size, and all I did for this setup to test ride is I just raised the saddle height a little bit. I didn't change the rest of the geometry because it was already set up for my wife, and if I do change that, it's gonna change her riding dynamics for sure. So right off the bat, all the upgraded components are pretty nice. This G45 gravel wheelset from Elite Wheels is doing a nice job. It's it feels more planted, it feels more rigid compared to the original PR2 disc wheelset that was originally on here. And the GRX 810 shifter is definitely a lot better than the old RX 800 that was kind of damaged. And no issue with shifting for now. It's just in general a nice bike. And as I said in the first impression, this bike in its original configuration is already good enough. However, if you really compare the price performance between the old 2013 rim brake version with the disc brake version, you'll find the rim brake version is probably a better value proposition, particularly because the rim brakes are easier to maintain, easier to do service, easier to replace, and also it's lighter without too much tinkering or spending a lot of money to get the new hydraulic version down to the same weight as the rim brake version. So I think in that regard, if you are looking for value, you should definitely consider the rim brake version as full carbon and well configured. Like the 105 rim brake version of the Liv, I would say it's probably gonna be around 19 to 20 pounds. But if you find a rim brake version of the Liv, let's see, this is kind of loose. Yeah, if you do find a rim brake version of the Liv Avail that's Ultegra or Dura Ace, that bike is gonna be 16 to 17 pounds, very lightweight. The only suggestion I have for folks looking for a Liv Avail, a female, or like even for guys, like I would probably ride this bike because the color scheme looks good and it's not super pinky like a lady's bike, and I would even ride a pink bike just because now it's like a little trendy thing to do. And I'm just riding around my neighborhood, this is like a casual ride kind of a thing. So it works. Vibration damping, of course, it's kind of important for this kind of endurance bike. Yeah, pretty good. And handling, agile, I mean, you can maintain speed and have a nice turn, tight turn. The hub sounds great on the Elite wheels. So handlebar, I would probably get upgraded carbon handlebars
or any handlebar that would actually absorb more vibration for that regard. But the default handlebar have a very low drop, so it's kind of easy to get low and start riding aggressive, as you can see. And I don't have to drop down like compared to my bike. I have to drop down probably a few more like millimeters to get lower, more aggressive riding position. This one is not aggressive at all. It's again more comfortable. The front rise quite a lot. You got a lot of spacers that you can add and reduce to fit your particular needs. The spacers are actually shaped differently. It's not a round spacer, it's kind of like a geometric shaped spacer, so you might have to... Oh, there's a peacock. So you might have to you might have a hard time finding replacement spacers. But the bike provides plenty of customization in terms of how you want to configure this to suit your particular needs, or your girlfriend or your wife's particular needs.
Now, to recap, I think this is a nice bike, and if you can get it for a great price, for sure, grab it. My biggest recommendation in terms of any bikes that you buy is, first thing first, upgrade worn components, especially rear derailleur, chain, cassette. Those are not costly, okay, if it's not electronic shifting. Get those replaced, and then if you have a little more budget, just get a really nice mid to upper level wheel set, and that wheel will actually transform your bike to a completely different beast. Okay, the wheel set is gonna make your bike roll better, it's gonna make you feel better, and it's gonna ride faster, right? Less rolling resistance, and of course a significant weight reduction compared to the stock aluminum wheels. And if your budget is constrained, my best honest recommendation is just don't look for the newest hydraulic brake bikes. Just get a higher end rim brake bike that you really wanted from back in the days, that were still in very good condition, because those bikes are amazing. Okay, they're amazing, and they brake perfectly fine if you don't ride in the rain. And with a little tune-up, the old bike is able to catch up with the new bike, and you're gonna save a lot of money, okay, in the long run. And that is my honest opinion. And I hope you guys found this kind of upgrade comparison video helpful. And if you did, please do hit the like button or subscribe to my channel. As I continue to collect, upgrade, and restore more bikes, I will have more similar videos coming out for you guys. And if you have any questions, feel free to ask me in the comment section down below. I always love to answer the questions for you guys. Okay, so thanks again, and I'll see you in the next video. Take care.